Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with your host, Meghan Judge. I really am. I know I say this all the time on the podcast. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk to blah, blah, blah. I say it all the time. I've been doing this 5.5 years. I am. I truly am. More so, I shouldn't use the word excited. I should use the word much needed conversation because of what you do. And Onika, I'm going to introduce you in a second, but I'm going to tell my usual long-winded story that people probably tune out. And that's why, maybe they're like over listening to me and my likes and my Valley Girl. And I'm just going to put myself down the whole episode. Here's the thing. And I am a mental health podcaster. I don't even know why. I don't even know why anymore because my own mental health is crumbling by the day. So listeners, if you're listening, Onika, if you want to hop off right now, it might be appropriate. Because I am in the mental health category and health and fitness. But lately, I'm like joking around a little bit about this, but I'm also like, what in God's name is happening in our country? Every day I wake up upset. Every day I feel like I'm crumbling even more. And so I really want to reiterate to you listeners, wherever you're listening, if, I've offended you because my platform has gotten, I hate the word political because again, I categorize myself as a humanist more so than that's what I am. I really mean that. It sounds kind of obnoxious, but that's what I consider myself. And I have lately been kind of like, do I want to continue doing this podcast? I've been doing it 5.5 years. A lot of it is about like loss, grief, all the things. I try to be positive, but I'm truly having a hard time. And part of me thinks, should I take a break? But then something in me thinks, well, maybe all of you that listen need this too. And you need for me to just be real. And if you could power through with me on this, I hate using this word journey because it's so like, ugh, but that's what it is. It's the real, authentic story of what I've been for all of you for the past 5.5 years, which is as authentic as I possibly can be. And my authentic self right now is telling you I'm struggling. I'm having a really, really hard time. Poor Onika. Do you want to hop off the podcast right now?
No,
Okay.
no. I want to stay on more than ever now.
Okay. Because you're like, oh God. Like sometimes I wonder when people come on and they go, how does this woman do what she does? And why do people listen? I even wonder that myself. Okay, everyone, Onika Mays is not only drop dead gorge physically, I'm looking at her right now, but she's a meditation and yoga guru. I'm going to use the word guru. And her new book is called Sit With Me, a no BS journey to mindfulness and meditation. And it comes out in March of 2020. We're in 2026. Well, it comes out in March, everyone. Hi, Onika.
Hi.
What do you want to
breath?
say?
Do you want to take a breath?
Should we go immediately into downward dog?
Do you want to take a deep inhale and exhale before we get started?
Yes, please. Let's do it. Listeners, why don't you do it with me?
Yeah.
And you tell us what to do. You go. You're the guru.
Yeah, let's just shake it out first. Just shake it out. We all got here.
If you're watching on YouTube,
we're just shaking it out. Like this is the best part. And then you can just let yourself settle for a second.
I think we all need
breath. That. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on my hot mess intro right now? Do you have anything to say about that?
I have all of the things to say, and it's really funny that my book is coming out now because with everything that's going on, there's so many people who are saying like, I'm not really political, and you're just talking about being a person and talking about being a human being. And I remember when I did my meditation teacher training, someone said, how do you feel about meditation teachers being political? And I remember I got my back up because I was like, well, what do you mean by political? Because what you call political, I just call Tuesday. Because, I'm Black, I'm queer, I'm a woman. So if I'm just talking from my own experience of being a woman, for example, some people might call that political if I talk about something that happened in my day and I'm being a meditation teacher. And someone's like, well, I don't want to hear about, something that happened to you about somebody being sexist. They might call that political. But if you're just talking about your life, our bodies as women are politicized. So it's not being political. You're just being a person.
I mean, I'm going to be honest because I don't understand how people cannot be struggling right now. It really bothers me. I talked to a friend of mine. My last episode I did was with the women that started this South Bay Takes a Stand with me. Mm-hmm. And one's Latina, one's like immigrated from South Africa. And then there's me, white as snow, Meghan, that I say all the time. I think that more so than ever, we need as white women to use our voices because we let other women down, women of color, I believe. And when I was on like the calls for Kamala, because I'll be honest with my listeners, they know where I stand. And I felt like when she did not win, so defeated, because I knew that I don't know how I knew. I mean, the last administration, I knew that this was going to happen, but I knew that I have a responsibility as a human being, first and foremost, to use my privilege to speak up, and so if the platform or the podcast is going to kind of struggle or I'm going to lose listeners or whatever it is, to me, I kind of think I don't want to say it's worth it, but I think it is what it is. And I one day, as I get older, I want my daughters that will carry the same privilege that I have to look back and think like, well, my mom did something, and so I think it's really important. And I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am. Not only am I sorry that women of color have fought so hard, especially Black women, to have things happen for everyone. But also I can't imagine how hard it is to be a woman of color and queer and gay and a gay woman. And then yesterday, again, like many of my friends are gay and I see Stonewall flag being taken down. Or this morning I woke up in the middle of the night, which I often do, ladies, if you're listening, because you understand these times, at 1 a.m, and I sat there struggling till 3 to go back to sleep. And of course, picked up my phone, which is the worst thing you can do. And saw that the funding was cut by $600 million for HIV and STD prevention and research. And it's just kind of like, thank God you're on. And I'm having this long-winded conversation and you're just nodding. I'm sorry.
No,
but I had to say that.
No, it's funny. I wrote about this. And it's funny when I was writing my book and I wrote about like if the fighting starts, because I was writing this book in the aftermath of the election. And reading it now with what's going on, I was reading it and having the hair go up on the back of my neck reading the section where I talk about if the fighting starts and why we just have to keep doing what we're doing. And we have to do it, and it's going to sound corny, but because love matters. And I don't mean that in some sort of corny way. And I don't mean like love in some sort of toxic positivity way, but I mean love in a very fierce way, love in a way that we hold folks accountable, love in a way that we don't want to cause any more harm, love in a way that we call people in, and we also call people out, because at some point we're going to have to reckon with ourselves, and individually and collectively, because we can't keep going. And it's going to be exhausting, and it's going to keep going for a while. But the more that people start to wake up, the more that we're going to have to take care of each other. So practices like I'm going to be talking about around loving kindness and meditation and mindfulness are important, but conversations like this are necessary. And for some folks who are just like, who are listening to you, who have been listening to you, and who are engaged, who are going to be tired, need this, because they're going to need tools to keep going. So they're not like, I'm so tired, I'm just going to give up. Mm-hmm. So it's necessary. You know, it's necessary to have resources, because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. These cycles have been going on.
It's a marathon that I didn't sign up for. It's
right.
It's a marathon that, like, literally, if you watch The Handmaid's Tale or you read it, I remember, and I've said this before in the podcast, I remember thinking that would never happen here. Like, and then I was thinking, this is what I think about all day long. I have to put my phone down. We're going to talk about you. I mean, we're 11 minutes and 40 seconds into the podcast. I said your name. I said what you do, but I've spent the whole time yapping away without asking you, like, where are you from? All the things that I've asked you. But I just think that if I continue doing this podcast and I just have my same format and the same thing, then I'm faking it, you know?
Right.
And I just thank God I have you on, because I think that we have to talk about this. Otherwise, I can't continue to do it. I can't just, like, pretend like, oh, tell me about your book. Like, I'm excited to read your book. P.S. Your cover is gorge. We already talked about this. Mm-hmm. But it's not like business as usual.
It's not.
For any of us, right?
No. Let me tell you something from my book that I think relates to what's going on. I wrote, why do we want to do this? Why do we want to love each other? And we want to do it because love matters. I'm tired of pretending that it doesn't. The world is coming apart at the seams. I'm not just talking about the polarizing events that are happening around the world. I'm talking about the way that we talk to one another. I worry that we will reach a place where we will not come back, where the threads of our shared humanity become so frayed that we will no longer recognize ourselves in each other's eyes. But here's my deepest fear, that if the fighting starts, as it has in so many places, no one will care what names are on your bumper sticker or what flag you've displayed. We will all just be trying to survive. Being at Rikers felt like this, because I taught at Rikers. Mm-hmm. I think that it's partly why I freeze when I watch the news, because I've been here before. Maybe I'm jumping ahead because we aren't at war and I don't want one. There's a part of me that's terrified to write these words down for fear of not being seen as righteous enough. But we are here, and I wrote this last year.
Holy crap.
So
I was crying, by the way. Shocker, because I cry all the time.
So I'm here for a reason, and it's good that I'm here and we're talking about this because we are here, but we want to do this because it matters. And you're changing your format, or you're having this conversation because it matters, and we have to figure out a way forward. And it's difficult conversations. It's remembering that you're rooted in love. It's remembering that you want the world to change. It's also remembering that we've been here before. And maybe not everybody remembers that we've been here before, but other people have remembered that we've been here before. Indigenous folks have remembered that we've been here before. Other people have remembered that we've been here before. And everybody's kind of just catching up, and that's okay. Like, we have to not shame people for catching up now, but we're all just here now. We're all just going to figure out a way forward. And for folks that don't want to believe that this is real, you can't worry about that either. You just can't. Mm-hmm. And you just have to focus on who is here now and who is going forward. And we'll all just collectively rally around that. And we all just have to figure out how to we have to stop harm from happening. And if other people aren't on board, not everybody's going to come with us. Like that. And that's just the reality. And you just have to accept that. And how are we going to take care of each other? Because the world is crumbling right now. And there's something good about that. There's something good about the veil being lifted. There's something good about billionaires being upset that they are being exposed. Because when a new world is happening, it's painful and it's hard and it's ugly. And when something is dying, the death throes happen and we see that happening. But something beautiful can arise from that. And why don't we start having the conversations of what does something new look like? So let's have those conversations and let's figure out what a new way forward looks like.
I love that. Also, I love what you wrote, that you knew this. I'm going to talk, my husband knew this. Like, he was telling me, he tells me all the time, I was telling you this was going to happen for a while. He's able to like kind of tune it out because he was so shaken in the first administration. I was too. Mm-hmm. But now he's like, I knew this was going to happen. And I think it's important, once I'm going to talk about like your whole story. We're 16 minutes in, but I think listeners, this is important because you're right. I think the pendulum has to swing. And also I think about this at 1:00 in the morning often. There was so much hidden, like faking, right? Like, oh, because I remember like when Obama won and I was like, yay, we're here,
When Obama won,
everyone's like this, everyone's equal. And then meanwhile, it's like, no, everyone is not. And it made it worse, but people were still like hiding behind not being able to go out in the street and take their cell phone and go up to somebody that's Latina and take out their phone and say, I'm calling ICE. Like, that never would have happened. And that's what's happening now, is like this stuff is like come to a boiling point where people think it's okay. So like what you just said, I think the pendulum, this had to kind of happen, right?
I knew when Obama won, of course I was thrilled and excited, but I remember saying, and I remember these conversations were being had, with friends of mine. I was like, the bottom's about to fall out because no one's going to be, there are a lot of people who are not going to be okay. And there's going to be backlash. We knew, like a lot of people knew there was going to be backlash, and this is the backlash.
It's horrific. I'm so sorry I've taken up so much time because I want to find out about you and where you're from and like, all the amazing things that you've done in your work. But I do hope that listeners, you listen to this. And if you are have the hard conversations. Don't you think, Onika? I think we need to have the hard conversations.
But you are talking about me too, though. So I don't let's make that clear. Like, this is me, this is me. This is what I do. These are the conversations that I do have as well. I mean, this is me. This is my body. This is who I am. Like, my body has been politicized. Like, this is us being human and having these conversations. Like, you are sitting with me right now. Like, this is.
Well, thank God you came on, because I was ready to be like, judging Meghan is over. Like, I don't want to do this anymore because I feel a lot of hopelessness. Mm-hmm. So thank you. I mean, like I say this all the time, a lot of people hate when people say everything happens for a reason, but I do believe most of my guests that I interview come on exactly when I'm supposed to have them on. Mm-hmm. And so thank God for Beth Grossman introducing us. She's like a character on the podcast at this point because I love her so much and I've been working with her for years.
I love it.
So, listeners, you probably know because I talk about Beth all the time. She is a publicist that's become my dear friend that sends me guests often, and I'm obsessed with her. Okay, let's go here now. Tell me about you. Tell me about where you're from, and why you kind of got to this place. I know you've gone through a lot of hard things in your life, but I just want to find like the backstory on how you got there.
Yeah. I found yoga and meditation sort of the long way around. I had the bottom sort of fall out in my life. I had like a personal tragedy. Someone who I loved um, died really unexpectedly and tragically, and I didn't know how to deal with that grief. And I think at the same time, I just was really uncomfortable in my own skin. And while I had tried yoga in the past and liked it, but wasn't ready to embrace it because I was repressing grief and made some really bad decisions because of that, I found myself back on a yoga mat and decided to change my life because of it. And it changed everything for me. And I found yoga, and then I found meditation, and then wanted to share that. And I decided that I wanted to volunteer at Rikers Island, and then I started doing that for several years. And then I was offered an opportunity to work at Rikers Island Correctional Facility in New York full time. And I became a mindfulness coach. So I worked with people one on one inside Rikers Island Jail. And that really changed my life in a lot of different ways. But I think going on a spiritual journey to find myself was a big deal. I think I was always sort of living my life on two sides. Like I was either going 100 miles an hour or doing absolutely nothing. And I think I create a lot of drama in my life because I didn't want to deal with myself. I didn't want to deal with who I was for a lot of different reasons. And when I found a spiritual path, I found the strength to sort of sit with who I was and to be comfortable with all of the things I was uncomfortable about with myself. And to face some hard things that because I was uncomfortable with myself, I didn't always do kind things. I was sometimes really mean. I was sometimes closed off and uncomfortable. And then when I realized that a spiritual practice could open up my heart, I wanted to change my life and be a different person. Or maybe the person I had always been and was just afraid to sort of show my heart. And working at Rikers made me recognize that love was a better way forward than being closed off.
Can I ask you, I'm sure you get this all the time, and I'm sure you talk about this in the book, but what what is it like? Because that's a high security prison, right? Like,
It's a jail. So the difference. This is
okay.
maybe interesting for listeners. So prison is when you get convicted and then you're serving like a long sentence. Jail is where you go when you get arrested and you're awaiting trial or you're serving like a year or less. So Rikers is one of the largest jails in the country, aside from LA County Jail, Cook County Jail in Chicago, and then jail in Miami. So it's one of the largest jails in the country. It is high security. It is known for being violent. It's the jail that you always see when you're watching Law and Order. So that's why most people know it. It's intense. It's known for being violent. And it's a sad place. I think it's more sad than scary.
What was the people that go in that you dealt with? Like originally you said you went in to volunteer. Did you, like, I think so many times people that end up on that side, and correct me because I don't know. I mean, I believe that everybody should have a second chance and a rehabilitation and all the things. But did you find that the practice of like meditation and yoga, you started to see a shift in the people that were in these situations and giving them a chance to learn this practice and changing can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I think there's two sides. So I volunteered for 6 years and worked there full time. So I think life was sort of different for me teaching as a full-time person and as a volunteer. And I think for folks who were on the island, I would say about 80% of the people who are on Rikers Island are Black and brown. A lot of people who are there are there because Black and brown communities are over policed. So some people are there because of circumstance. Some people are there because of the crimes that have been committed. And most of them are there awaiting trial. So they've been accused of something. So they aren't even really convicted of something. So I think that's sort of important to note too, that if they had the money to afford bail, they might not even be there. And there, you'd be surprised at the number of people had already had yoga practices and mindfulness practices who are already there. And a lot of people who I met there would be people who I would actually even talk to on the street, to be honest with you. So you meet a lot of different kind of people. A lot of the officers wanted meditation and yoga too because of the stress. There are some people who really embraced the practice and who wanted to do it. There were some people who thought it was stupid and didn't want to do it at all. And when I volunteered, I taught like a lot of group classes. So in a lot of ways, it was like teaching at a yoga studio, with a lot more talking in between, which made it more fun than teaching in a yoga studio. And when I worked there full time, I worked with people one-on-one. So I had my own office. So it was more like having my own like mindfulness practice. So the conversations were definitely more intense and intimate, and I was getting a lot more stories and holding a lot more space. So it was a lot more intense, especially because I was working in the women's facility then too. So I was hearing a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So it could it was really just as varied as the many people. I've probably seen thousands of people over the years that I've been there. So it's like 1,000 different stories that I could tell you. People
and it's
Yeah.
so, it's, sorry to say this, but
Yeah.
it's so true that so many of these people are just targeted, and maybe like drug offenses, right? Like
Oh, a lot. Like,
minor things that like I would be not put away for, right?
Yeah.
But they're sitting there, and then cut to like the Epstein. Like I can't help but think about that right now. We were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Like recently, I'm a big fan of Don Lemon, and I follow him, and
Yeah.
I happened to be that morning watching the Minnesota stream. I watched the whole thing, by the way, because I've watched him since he was on CNN, and then I've been following him on his independent
Yep.
journey, and I watched him going to church that day. I think I talked about this the last podcast, but he was talking about recently that whole thing about how so many people are just put in jail, and they're just like sitting there wasting their lives away when there's people that are in these sex trafficking rings, and are just walking free
Walking
and
around.
making money and running companies. It makes no sense. Yeah.
What was really terrible was during COVID when all of the courts were closed, and people's time was stopped. It wasn't clocked because the courts were closed. So that time didn't count. Yeah.
What? So they didn't. Okay, so they would just be sitting in jail
'Cause
waiting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these people were just stuck.
Stuck.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I think when you talk about the practice of meditation or yoga or all of this stuff, I don't understand. I mean, I personally have had a very hard life and a very hard childhood with abuse and loss. I've lost my dad. My listeners know my sister, my little sister, my best friend. And it was hard, but I think about how many people have gone through way worse things, but I cannot do the meditation and the yoga because I have so much anger that's still bubbling up. And it struck me with what you said in the beginning, or midway, because we talked for so long in the beginning, about you weren't always you didn't say, I don't know if you used the word good person, but you were angry, and you didn't always like yourself. Didn't you say something along those lines?
I didn't.
Okay.
And I wasn't always kind. I mean,
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't. It doesn't shame me anymore. I mean, I still feel plenty of shame around things, but I'm okay talking about it because because I didn't like myself, and I've had sexual trauma in my past too. And I talk about this in the book that, I had ideation, and I spent some time in a hospital, and really did a lot of work to get to quote unquote get better, and figure out a lot of stuff. And through all of that, I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna move forward, and how am I gonna take care of myself, and what is this gonna look like? And meditation isn't always the answer for everybody. And I say that as a meditation teacher. Like, there were plenty of times when I would meet somebody at Rikers, and we would talk first. I'd be like, so like, these are, people would come see me, and it was usually around like insomnia or somatic issues, because beds in jail are terrible and people had aches and pains, or anxiety. And we would talk about meditation or yoga, and some people would say like, I don't want to meditate, this isn't working for me. I'd be like, okay, great, we know you don't like that, so let's not do that, and let's try something else. Like, maybe it's just some kind of movement that you want to do, or let's do something that works for you, because meditation may not be the thing, but let's find the thing that you can go inside with to get in touch with yourself. Because everybody, there's this thing in the wellness world where everybody thinks that they have to do that one thing that's going to heal somebody, and I just think that's nonsense. And I think we have to start having conversations where people understand that they can find a safe place inside themselves, but you can't force things on people. But we have to give people opportunity to find the tools that are going to work for them. So I wasn't the mindfulness coach to make everybody do mindfulness. I wanted people to find the safety inside themselves, because there are no safe places, and certainly not at Rikers. Like, I wasn't going to have people say like I was their safe place at Rikers, because an officer could come in at any time and do anything, or somebody could bust into the office and cause a fight. Like, I wasn't a safe place. So I was just trying to teach people to, like, where can you be safe inside yourself? Maybe it was meditation. Maybe it was yoga. Maybe it was just a conversation with me, and they could learn how to talk to themselves better.
I think the part that struck me that with what you just said too is, if you're surrounded by all this unsafe stuff, like right now, the noise, like the constant barrage of, even if you want, I'm a perfect example. I don't know how many episodes I've done on meditation, and I always say I can't do yoga and I can't meditate because my brain is always like blah, like I have ADHD. I'm making all these excuses. I can't do it. I don't have the patience. I don't this. I don't that. And when you just said that, I don't know honestly if it's that I don't like myself that much, and I don't want to sit with myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think it's brave that you talked about that, because I also am very honest, and I've said this to my listeners. I by no means do this podcast to be like, I know everything. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. And I have a podcast that people listen to, Lord knows why, because I think I'm like, I'm heavily flawed. I can be full of shit. I give people the middle finger in carpool. And I told a girl that I like hated her, and she was ugly like a couple of months ago, because she was somebody was really mean to me. But I mean, why not? But then I can't sit with that later on and meditate, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I actually say I teach what I need to learn. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know if there's plenty of teachers who might take issue with that, but
I don't care.
yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that's my point of I teach what I need to learn. And I also don't think that meditation is not about having a quiet mind. It's about making peace with the mind that you have. Like, that's what it's about. Like, it's not about, my mind is always going. It is always going. I am thinking about what I'm going to eat when we're done right now. Like, I'm hungry, and I'm thinking about that as we're talking right now. And that's okay, because that's me. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm no longer thinking like I am flawed, because that's who I am. And that's what my practice has actually taught me. Like, don't fight who you are. Learn. My practice has taught me I don't meditate to feel great. I meditate to be with whatever is going on in my life. I've learned that my practice helps me live my life and not sort of change it, because my life is going to be whatever my life is. So I might as well learn how to respond to it, but so I'm not reacting to it. I used to react to everything around me all of the time, and the reactions were really crappy all of the time.
Because it hurts you and not the other person. So like
Right.
if you're, and I sit with that too, but that's why I love the title of your book when you say it's no BS. Like you're being the authentic self, when there's so many yoga teachers or meditation people that are you see them and they're like, it's so zen.
No.
And everything's gong. And then you see them and they're in the grocery store, like having a fight with it's the hypocrisy of all of it. So it's that's why I think you're so great. And the title, we're going to talk about the book right now, is important, because it's talking about you can do the practice, you can do these things, and you might not change overnight, and you might never change.
You might never change.
We're all work in progress.
No,
Yeah.
No, because I talk about things, and my partner's not here right now, but I know sometimes I'm talking about things and she's like, yeah, okay. I saw her this morning.
But you should meet my husband. He says that all the time. He's like, God, I wish if I were married to judging Meghan and not Meghan judge, right? And because this morning we had a fight, and I was like, "You're such a jerk," blah blah blah. Like that's being human, though.
Yes, but exactly. But I think that's so important. And I actually didn't participate a whole lot in like the yoga world or the meditation world because I didn't fit in. I think I'm glad though, because I started teaching yoga. I'm 54 now, but I started teaching like right when I turned 40. So I wasn't interested in sort of that sort of Instagram yoga life and any of that kind of stuff. And that wasn't me, because I didn't want to do that. I had already lived a life, and I was more interested how the practice saved my life and made me enjoy it. And I wanted to teach from that place. And I believe that the practice really helped me. And when I went to yoga teacher trainings, and I appreciated the practices and the text and what I was studying. And when I would push back and say, well, but it says this, and people would give me like this whitewashed version of what they were saying, I'm like, but that's not my experience. I didn't want to participate in that world. So I kind of purposely stayed away, which is why teaching at Rikers I was like, I'd rather be here. Mm-hmm. This is where the yoga is. Like, this is what it's about. Because yoga is really about justice. There's a saying that a lot of yoga teachers say, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And they say it like it's this like toxic positivity thing. But if you really think about it, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, it means that people aren't happy and free everywhere. And we should do something about that. So that means we should be activists. It means that we should be freeing people. It means that we should be calling out the injustices in the world. And that's what yoga should really be about. And it's not really about whether you can do a handstand or not.
Well, I also think what you took from that, and again, it's never too late. Like 40 to me, I'm like, whatever. I mean, also look really, I hate you because you don't have a wrinkle on your face. I'm sorry. But I love that you did something that was had purpose behind it. I taught like a purpose-driven life, right? I mean, mm-hmm. How good do you feel knowing that you touched somebody's life that grew up and had the horrible, I can't even imagine the people you met and what they went through. And it must have been really fulfilling for you to do that. And at the end of the day, as hard as it probably was, you could walk out and be like, maybe what I did might have helped one person today. I think that part of it's important, don't you think?
And yes, individually, I think in some ways, and
mm-hmm.
and it was hard in other ways because I'm an abolitionist. Like, I don't believe that prisons and jails should exist the way that they do. They mm-hmm. shouldn't. They mm-hmm. hurt people. And so it was really hard to get paid and to have health insurance and vacation days and to get a decent salary and to go into that place every day. I felt a lot of guilt doing that, and being able to do what I loved and to do that, getting paid to be in that place, knowing that I was giving people something, but in some ways, sometimes I felt like, am I only helping people so they can bear this system better? Like sometimes I wasn't sure, like, am I helping them only deal with this trauma a little better, or am I helping people long term? So it was a lot to hold. There was some complexity there. And then longer term, I felt like, am I making Rikers look better because I'm doing this work? And it's ultimately why I left, because people hear what you do and they're like, oh, that's great. Like, that's so cool. Come talk to me about it. And I'm like, Rikers is still really bad. Like, I need you all to know that it's really bad. But then I was like, people are like, well, look, how bad could it be? There's like a mindfulness coach. And I worked with an acupuncturist too, who's amazing, and a wellness coach. So it's like, well, how bad could Rikers be if there's acupuncture and if there's wellness and if there's meditation? And ultimately, I could no longer feel like I was participating in that. So I left, but somebody still needed to do it. So there's this incredible person who does it now. So she does my job. And I don't think we should all do this by ourselves, right? Like, people need to keep doing it until there's a better way to be doing all of this, right? Because people still need to be accountable for when something goes wrong. And, we need to think about restorative justice and transformative justice. If somebody harms somebody, how do we do all of that? It's another conversation for another time. But in the meanwhile, if there is a Rikers, we need to be taking care of folks. So it's a hard conversation.
I think I mean, I never really would have thought about that until you just said that, of the like pain of feeling like you're working so hard to make a difference and then just kind of stuck because it's not going to evolve and change. It's almost like my sister is a high school teacher. She's taught for 30 years. I'm obsessed with my older sister and so proud of her. And, she's grading papers like 24 hours a day. It's can be kind of thankless sometimes, I think, for her, because every holiday she's grading papers and doing all this stuff and kind of like can feel like she's stuck. I mean, it's a very minor, like I shouldn't even compare it to what you do, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, we're going to keep doing this and I'm going to try and like better these kids. But at the end of the day, do I really make a difference? I know it's like a totally different scale, but it just kind of reminded me of, you get to a point and the burnout, all the things, even though you were in this space of meditation and yoga and all of that, it's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. The burnout was hard because, that for a period of time, like I went to solitary confinement and I used to like work in there. And I think that was part of my breaking point. I'm like, why am I teaching meditation to people in solitary confinement? Like, this just seems like, what? This is stupid. Like, how does this help anybody? Like, what am I doing? Like, this is this bringing anybody any peace? Like, am I just torturing somebody? But like, it didn't start to make sense to me. Like, I was really questioning my own sanity and my own soul. Mm-hmm. It was a lot to think about. It was a lot to think about, and it really started to wear on me. Like, this might not be okay. And, based on sort of my own principles and the Dharma that I follow with Buddhism, I'm like looking at it from a broader perspective. I'm like, the work that we started felt radical in the beginning, but once you do it long enough, it starts to become part of the system. And I was like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah. And then I think it's important that if something's not serving you anymore, you walk away. So tell me about the book, because I want to know what inspired you to write the book.
I got inspired even when I was first volunteering, because I would post, I used to volunteer with a nonprofit with a bunch of incredible other yoga teachers, and we would go in and we would teach these classes, and I wanted people to know what it was like on the inside. So I would come out and write a post about what the class was like. And, we would change the names of everybody, but we would write this post about what the class was like. And every time I would post, people would say, like, you need to write a book about this. Like, this is really incredible. And I would say, like, okay. And eventually after working there full time and posting, and I eventually was like, okay, well, maybe I should write about a book about this. And then, a friend of mine was also like, you don't think it's incredible that you had this corporate job for 20 years and now you're like at Rikers? Like, maybe you should put it all together. And so I did. And so the book is it's partial memoir about my own journey and how I figured out how to love myself. It's partially about working at Rikers, and it's also a field guide for people who have felt alone or felt judged. And it's about loving kindness, because that's my main practice. It's metta, which it's the Pali word for loving kindness. It's a Buddhist practice, and it's about unconditional love. So it's not just sort of like love that has conditions. It has no expectations. And that's a practice that I live and also teach as a meditation. So it's also a field guide for people to learn how to do that.
Can you tell me, for the sake of time, because I say this a lot too. I really mean it though. So if you're listening, you're like, oh God, I could talk to you all day. I really mean it. Because I really could talk to you all day, and I would like for you to come visit me. You live in New York?
Yeah, I live in Jersey City, right across from Manhattan.
Oh, I know where that is. Okay. I for a brief blurb of my young life, when I was trying to be an actress when I was young, I would take the subway from Connecticut to New York. And so I remember always seeing Jersey City. Yeah. So anyway, tell me the biggest takeaway. Why would somebody want to read your book? Of all the books, they could go to Barnes and Noble and get all the books. Mm-hmm. Not only is your book cover beautiful, because I told you that already, but why your book?
Because if you're feeling lost and alone and you want to figure out how you're going to figure out how to get forward and move forward in the world that we're in right now, this is the book for you to do it with.
I think too, just talking to you and without reading it, which I can't wait to read it, is it seems I right away can tell when somebody's full of it. I just can. I have a pretty good bullshit meter with people, and I love that you're very authentic and not like woo woo, like meditation, yoga. That's what I think more people need right now. And I even
say in the book, meditation may not be for you, and I hope you find whatever is for you. But if it's meditation, I have a meditation for you. But if not, I pray that you find the thing that is for you. Maybe it's a walk in the park. Maybe it's a song that you love. So, yeah.
And is there something specific? I tell my listeners a lot that I live by the beach. I know it's cold where you live right now.
Did you see me get sad? I was like, okay,
I know you looked at me and you were like, I was like, I hate to brag, but I walked by the beach today. It was beautiful. But it's the ocean is I could never be away from it. It brings me great, great joy and peace and happiness. And so my thing is I walk. I love to walk. I love animals. I love my dogs. They've been walking behind us this whole recording. Mm-hmm. And that's what brings me happiness. That's my own meditation, because I have a hard time sitting still, like we talked about. What is your biggest thing that you do in these times to kind of bring yourself down?
I listen to music a lot. Stevie Wonder in particular. I love Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder gives me a lot of joy. Dancing gives me a lot of joy these days too. And riding my Peloton gives me a lot of joy. Sometimes you just have to I cry on my Peloton a lot.
This is a side note, and I'm obviously not an advertiser for Peloton, because if I was, I would be fired. I have a Peloton in my room, and it's a coat hanger. It just, I never use it. And I think it's because I used to be a Soul Cycle girl. So I was, yeah. So you're either, I've heard you're either one
You're
or
either,
the other.
yeah, you're one or the other. Yeah. I
And
never went to Soul Cycle.
I like to be, I like the music. I like the dancing. It was like dancing on a bike and Peloton. Also, I felt like whenever I was on my Peloton, I could cheat and be like, do I really want to listen to Cody right now? I'm just going to sit down. And if you do Peloton, you understand who Cody is, right? Do you do Cody's class?
I like Hannah. I'm a Hannah person.
Oh,
Like,
I remember Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to digress and like go in a weird
Yeah, if
direction.
you don't know Peloton, people don't know what we're talking about. But I like Cody. Cody's okay. My friends like Cody, but I'm a Hannah Frankson person. Like I like the British. I like the folks in London.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wanted to leave the listeners with that because I do think. Sorry. I mean, this episode, you're probably like, Beth,
I love it.
Where did you send me?
No, this is right up my alley.
Listeners, I do think, in all seriousness, like, also we have to laugh right now.
We
right?
do.
That's another thing. Like, I watch Saturday Night Live every week. I do think I watch TV that brings me happiness. I no longer can stomach, like, I was such a Housewives fan. I was such like a Bravo. I still love Bravo, but I can't see like anything that's going to make my blood boil. I just want to laugh. So that's another thing I think personally that I do. But I think what you've brought today to me in particular, and hopefully listeners, is like hope, right? That even in like, we'll bring up like the people that were in jail, like you must have brought so much hope to those people that they wanted to be listened to, or you were an ear, and that there's always hope and help. And from one person to another, I also struggled with suicidal ideations, and I'm very upfront and honest with it. And I think right now our mental health in this country is just like people are losing any hope. And I have to be reminded that there is hope, and there's so many of us that are care. I think there's more of us that care and will be on the right side of history than there are on the other side. And I hate to say sides because I don't think it's ever too late. Like you said in the beginning, I wasn't always so kind. And I said to you, I'm still not always so kind. But you can change that, right?
Yeah. And it's not like a binary thing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people are going to disagree. I say a lot that you don't have to like people to love them. Like we need to remember that. We are so obsessed with trying to agree with everybody all of the time about everything. And that is what I think gets us into so much trouble. There are certain things we have to agree upon. Do not get me wrong. There are certain things that are non-negotiable. But there are plenty of things that we have lost this ability to have conflict. We have lost the ability to understand nuance. And it is really, really, I think, killing communities. I think it's really hurting our ability to be in community. Like, it's okay to argue. It doesn't mean the end of the world. And I don't have to like you to not want you to get hurt. I don't.
Yeah. I'm going to say one thing in closing, because I did talk about that march that we did a couple of weeks ago. And I looked out, I was standing on this platform, and I looked out at all these people, and they had the signs, and everybody looked different, you know, and it makes me emotional because I just thought to myself, this is beautiful. Like for the rest of my life, I'm going to remember this moment because it was that touching that people showed up for each other and cared. And so I think like I have to remember moments like that, like these little glimmers that we have, or like our conversation today is a little glimmer, because it's like two women that are totally different and totally different backgrounds, right? But we're sitting here and we're connecting as human beings. And if there was like more of this with everyone, then I think like maybe the world would just be like a teeny bit better, and people we wouldn't have the current issues going on. It's like people are being brainwashed and told certain things. I say this all the time. You know, I have family members that are Trump supporters. And that's really, really hard for me, because I'm like, please turn off Fox News, because you're being brainwashed right now. Like, please turn it off. They're not being honest with you. But like some of the things, like read, take a walk, talk to somebody that's different than you or has a different story. Because honestly, that's why, full circle, I do this podcast. I am selfish that I love talking to people like you that are different than me and have different stories, because what we have in common has like brightened my whole day. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Truly, I mean it. Okay, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Onika Mays. They can find me on Substack at Onika Mays. You can find me on Facebook at Onika Mays, and you can find me at my website at onikamays.com.
I mean, that you made it simple. So
I really did. I really did.
Onika, okay, so tell me also the name of the book and when exactly it comes out. Is it out for pre-order? Can people pre-order it?
People can pre-order the book wherever you buy your books. You can pre-order the book. The book is called Sit With Me, A No BS Journey to Mindfulness and Meditation. Wherever you order your books, order it. You can order the audiobook as well. Request it at your library too. Like, you know, just.
God, I love a library.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, you really helped me today, so I can't thank you enough for that. Everyone, keep going. You matter. Your story matters. Thanks, Onika. I almost